Hello, we are going to talk about some ways you can teach adjectives in your language classroom, specifically examples in Spanish, but you know, they apply. Let's dig in. Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley, aka Señorita Spanish. If you're new here, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that bell so you get notified of all new content I create in the future for you. All right, the first example is actually right behind me. So this is a classroom display. It says yo soy, and then around it there's just a bunch of different adjectives, and it kind of works as a word wall. This one behind me is a little bit smaller. I've done one all the way across the wall in my classroom. And even as a traveling teacher, even as a person who shared multiple classrooms, this is something that I put up in every classroom. So I have multiple sets of this, and I will put it like on the back of the door. I'll put it like way up by the ceiling, wherever I have space. I like to have it up because students use it as a reference and a resource. So when they're writing or when we're doing story asking, they will pull, like they'll look to the wall and they'll pull out the cognates from the wall, and then we get things that are more than just es guapo or es interesante. We get more cognates and more descriptions, so our people are, or our characters are, you know, they're deeper, and the students use words to describe themselves. And then I also will look at that and I'll say, oh, we haven't had a character that was fuerte yet, and fuerte isn't really a cognate, so I make sure that I pull that in and I'm reinforcing this word that they maybe wouldn't choose, but now they know, and some of them will then use it to describe themselves. So whenever we do a story in class, every one of our characters always has at least 3 characteristics describing them, at least 3 adjectives describing them. So if we're storytelling and I've selected the adjectives ahead of time, they're going to get them. If we're asking, they often use the word wall to help them fill it out. And then something that is super important to make sure you're highlighting these adjectives in a really simple, natural way is once you've introduced the character and you've said, okay, this, character is this, this, and this, now you're going to do a little bit of PQA and some circling with your students in your classroom on that part of the story. If you're not familiar with circling, I have a blog post on the topic. I'll link it for you in the description below. You've said, okay, our character is interesante, inteligente, y paciente. Oh, tú eres paciente? Yo no. Yo no soy paciente. I am not patient. So you're taking advantage of this time to, reinforce adjectives, but more importantly, you're getting to know the student. You're getting to know your students, the students are getting to know their classmates, and you're building this classroom community, because then you're gonna have a conversation about, ¿quién es paciente? Profe no es paciente, right? Yo no soy paciente, pero ¿tú eres paciente? Oh, clase, él no es paciente. Oh, qué lástima. ¿Cómo eres? Eres, and then I usually pick one of the other adjectives, which of course I've already forgotten what the adjectives were at the beginning of this video, of this example. But, right, so if they're not patient, well, what are they? Are you this thing or are you this thing? Oh, no. Oh, well, how would you describe yourself? And then maybe we'll go back to the wall and I'll pull another word off the wall and I'll say, oh, eres creativo o eres fabuloso. Just using this as a reference. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, would you just give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows you like it? Also, if you haven't yet, make sure you click that subscribe button and ring that bell so you get notified of all new content I create in the future. Thanks! So outside of the verbal, right, the audio input that they're getting in storytelling and story asking, we always put them in our short stories and short readings. One option is to do a gallery walk that has a bunch of readings with a bunch of descriptions. If you're not familiar with gallery walks, I have a couple of videos on them. I will link them in the description below. Basically, students have a bunch of short reading selections. We hang them around the room and they read them and they interact with them. They do comprehension activities. A few of my favorite sets of readings all include adjectives in them. So we have one that I used at the very beginning of the year that's just like made up people, but then I'll maybe use another one a couple weeks later that are famous Hispanics that is, usually winds up falling really well around Hispanic Heritage Month. And then I have a couple more sets that are famous women or famous African Americans, and you can use them throughout the year so you're reinforcing this topic. Picture talk and movie talk are also really great ways to sneak in some adjectives, because you can find a compelling video or find a compelling image and talk about it. So you can talk about whatever, just make sure you include adjectives while you're doing it. A really fun little like sponge or time filler activity would be to just pull up a picture of a group of people. Don't tell the students who you're describing, and then just describe somebody from that picture, and then have students guess who you were describing. Just a filler, maybe like a last 5-10 minutes of class thing or a warm-up thing, but super simple, right? And a good way for them to get lots of practice. You could do something similar with that, pull up a picture, have it on the screen, and have them describe and guess in pairs. Kind of like Guess Who, but less planned. I do have blog posts on Picture Talk and Movie Talk. I will link them both in the description of this video, so that way you can check them out if you want to learn more. Do you have any activities to share for how you teach adjectives? Comment below so that way we can all share and learn from each other. Thanks. Another really great option for any topic is to play games. It's always fun to be able to include a game in your classroom in your lesson plan. One option that's perfect for adjectives is Guess Who. And that's a good one you could do as a whole class, right? You could project the board, or you could have them put in pairs or in small groups and speak and guess with each other. Martina Bex also has a really fun game she calls Thief, where they describe, right, who stole something or who took something from somebody else. Just really simple options to give them more input with adjectives. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you check the description for links to everything that I mentioned. Also, if you haven't yet, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that bell so you get notified of all new content coming out in the future. Thanks so much for being here.